Okay, let's go.
Hello there, Chick Chat. We are back with another story of the week. And this one is an Am I the Asshole? It's from 4 years ago. And I think you're going to like this one, Miss Brooke.
Oh, I'm excited.
It's a little different. So this one is called Am I the Asshole for Reporting a Delivery Driver Who I Thought Was Lying to Get Out of Doing More Work?
Okay.
So this starts throwaway account because I don't want this linked to my main.
That'll be so scary. Come on.
They always use the throwaway account. Whatever. It's probably nicer because this way I don't have to filter through all their comments.
That's true. But I like it when you get to creep back to their history, see what kind of people they are.
It says, today for lunch, I decided to order from a Mexican restaurant through one of those food delivery services. I've had a bad experience or two where my order was missing some items, but the drivers would always be gone before I realized, and I could catch them to fix the issue. I'd always have to report it through the app's support chat, which is such a pain to use because they obviously outsource their representatives, and it's frustrating trying to communicate with them. I usually give up after a few messages back and forth. When my driver arrived, I told her to say so that I could check the bag and make sure everything was there. I noticed she kind of raised her eyebrow for a moment, but otherwise she stood quietly and waited. Sure enough, a couple of things were missing. I politely said that she needed to return to the restaurant and get my missing items. In a very neutral, rehearsed sounding tone, she said that it's against company policy to do that and I should contact support through the app. I explained that I preferred not to deal with support. She said that they're the only ones who can help and she's really not supposed to go back to the restaurant. I was a bit annoyed at this point, so I asked what the company policy was on making sure orders were correct. She said that restaurants close the bags for drivers and they're not meant to open them or the containers inside. Something about food safety violations and not being trained, question mark, parentheses.
It's true.
After a moment, she apologized for the trouble and left. To me, this honestly just sounds like a bunch of BS excuses to get out of her doing her whole job. If they can't go back to the restaurant, how are customers supposed to get their food-money back? If they can't open bags to check the orders, how do they even know they're delivering the right food? It makes no sense to me. So on the page where I rate my driver, on the page where I rate my driver and can leave feedback, I make a note of my situation and explained why I thought she was in the wrong. I then left 1 star and revoked my tip. A bit later, I was talking to my sister over the phone, who I thought would enjoy the story because she works for a different but similar delivery company. My sister said, "Did you actually think she was going to go back to the restaurant?" I laughed, thinking she was taking a dig at a competing company's drivers. But she just said, "I'm not joking. You literally reported her for following the rules." At first, I thought my sister had misunderstood a part of the story or something, so I kind of brushed it off. But now, based on her reaction and what both her and the driver said, I'm wondering if they're right, question mark. Am I the asshole for reporting her and taking my tip back because I thought she was lying?
They are right, and you are the asshole. And there is no way around explaining this one away. I actually would have said that he was still wrong, but not necessarily the asshole if he did not revoke his tip, because it doesn't matter if he reports her because he's essentially reporting her for following the rules and doing her job. So who cares about that? But then you took away her earnings for doing the service that she agreed to do, which is to pick your food up and deliver it to your house. And no, she cannot open your bag because if your bag came to you opened with stuff out of it, you would just accuse her of taking your food and not the
Right.
restaurant of forgetting it. And the way that they understand whose food is whose is because they staple a receipt to it, sir.
They do. They staple a receipt with the name on it.
Congratulations. The way that you get your money back or your food back is to call the effing restaurant and reorder your food, and they'll send another driver at another time, probably a different person, to go and get your stuff. That is the way that it works. I'm sorry that you disagree with it, but that doesn't mean that you take people's money, hard-earned money away for driving around and dealing with your BS. Yes, you are an asshole.
Oh, for sure. Yep. 100%. You're the asshole. This is a no-brainer to me, but I also did do little delivery driving. All those rules are correct. You're not supposed to open the bag. You're not supposed to go back to the restaurant. They asked, I don't know. this is a guy or a girl writing this, but they asked, "Are customers supposed to get their food or money back?" And it's like, well, you get your money through the app where you paid your
Yep.
money, not through
Yep.
the restaurant anyways.
Yeah,
That's
the
an
driver
app
has
thing.
nothing to do with any of that money at all. And how are they supposed to even go back to the restaurant and ask them to make food that they're not gonna pay for, that who's gonna what that's not the way it works.
They're
We're
not a
supposed to have
server.
exactly, they're a driver. Not even a driver like a pizza delivery driver who still
No.
works for the company. They are a complete third party. So you have to
Yeah.
work through the third party, not
You could directly call the restaurant if you want.
Yep.
Be like, "Hey, I got a delivery service. It was missing some items." They can take your name down, and the next time you go back out, you can go to that
Mhm.
restaurant. They'll have your food waiting for you. Or they'll make it up. You just come through and be like, "Hey, my name is so and so. I called about this." They'll give it to you just how you would if you were to go to McDonald's drive-through and you
Yeah.
didn't get half your order and you get it all the way home.
It sounds like this I'm gonna just say this guy, he sounds like a guy to me, but this guy, I think, already has some biases about whatever app that he used because he said that like, straight away. I haven't had very good experiences with this. Well, then just stop using it. Order a pizza if you need something delivered. That's usually a little more effective. I always know when I use those kinds of apps, it's nice when my food arrives on time and hot and all intact, but I don't necessarily expect it, to be honest. And I know that it costs more and all of that, but that doesn't mean that it's not being handed from hand to hand in a car going somewhere, blah, blah, blah. It's just not going to be great. So I just kind of expect to be maybe missing something or to maybe have to warm it up or maybe it's going to take a little longer. The last time I ordered DoorDash, the guy was assigned to my food and he was all the way across town and he was just driving around in circles around Burger King and I ordered not Burger King. I texted him like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "There's a car accident in the street." You just never know.
Take a risk when you have someone else go pick up your food. I mean, just go
You
pick it up
do.
yourself and go
Exactly why
with
they keep
bags.
that bag sealed closed because you took the risk when you have
Yeah.
someone go picking up your food.
Like you said, they don't work for the restaurant. So even if they open the bag, they can't go through the food and know it's supposed to be there exactly. Like, yes, it'll list it on the thing, but how do they know if this box has this? You want them to open the boxes?
Not only that, the last time I ordered DoorDash, we ordered from a burger place, and Tyler and I both got burgers. He got a Dallas burger, which is like a barbecue bacon burger, and I got a New Orleans burger, which is like mushrooms and whatever. So it's like, you want the stranger to make sure everything's on your food or what? Like, I
Yeah.
don't want no, that's not the way we want it to work. You
No.
might be hangry, but you're gonna have to deal.
I think it's funny that they told their sister or whatever, and they're like, no, you reported somebody for literally doing their job and revoked their tip. Imagine. That was so unreasonable too. It's like educate yourself a little bit on this. Maybe read the rules or at least go look and see if this is exactly true before you're like, I just think she was trying to get out of something. Well, look it up then. I could look it up.
Get out of what too? Like going on your wild goose chase after your four-piece chicken nugget or something?
And I'm sorry, I
It's
don't
so
blame
not
them
worth
for wanting them to go back and forth for what, $4?
you
No, thank
imagine how
you.
many drivers would be going back and forth? How many people's foods would be delayed because they got assigned to somebody but ended up having to drive back to wherever and then back again? Stop the
Yeah.
nonsense.
And the reason you never see your DoorDash driver sitting there waiting for you to check your food, what was that? You ran out the door when they got there and was like, wait. When I worked for DoorDash, I would drop the thing off
The
on the
door.
door, take a photo, and once I got in my car, I confirmed it and I took off because I'm
Yeah.
not here to go through your bag with you.
I imagine you probably would rather not see the people you're delivering it to.
Yeah.
I would rather not see my delivery people. Now, most of that has to do with my dog being a maniac, but let me tell you, the way that I hate when these people ring my doorbell. Like the damn DoorDash notification is not telling me 6 times that you're nearby and you've arrived and to turn the porch light on and blah 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 and read a review. Know that you're here. I don't need you to ring the doorbell and make my dog freak out. I had done tricked him into thinking no one's here.
We are supposed to, well, I said we, 'cause, like I still work there, work through them, but I guess every now and then when I'm short a buck, I think they're told to ring the doorbell like
Yeah,
once.
they probably are because it's like,
Yeah.
you don't want your food just sitting outside. But yeah, I wrote it in the notes now too. Make no noises.
Yeah, like, I know you're here. I'm watching you. I think it's one thing if you're missing a drink too. I'm not saying that the driver should go back for that either, but I remember
That's
when
what
I would pick up orders, if I looked on the receipt and said there was a drink, I'd be like, okay, where's the drink? But you can't go
mhm.
in the bag. If they're missing fries, if they're missing nugs, you can't go in the bag, like you said,
Yeah,
because then you got to go through the ingredients too, because they could have gave you the right burger, but maybe it's got all the wrong crap on it. Like,
right. And you don't know as a random individual what a this kind of burger versus that, like what's supposed to be on. That's why none of that should exist.
mhm.
Speaking of forgetting a drink, that is what happened with my DoorDash driver who was driving around Burger King when he actually came here, forgot one of our drinks. It's funny because we ordered a Dr. Pepper and a strawberry lemonade, and we got a regular lemonade. He actually happened to still be walking to his car when I got my food out, and I did yell to him. I was like, "You don't happen to have another drink in your car, do you?" And he was like, "Oh, no." And I was like, "Okay, no worries," and went in the house. That was the interaction. It was the wrong drink, and there wasn't enough, and I did not expect that man to solve the problem at all, except maybe he forgot it in the car, which he didn't.
If you get your food bag and it's open, you're gonna assume these people were eating your fries or some shit.
Yeah, I definitely would.
And that's worse to me than them missing the food in there.
I don't want your
Close.
grubby paws because I won't eat any of that food.
And then I'm gonna throw up.
And then he's really gonna have problems with DoorDash service or whatever food service you're using.
So the top comment is actually pretty long. So
Oh man, because they probably went on a rant like I did in the beginning. Because this guy is an asshole.
yeah. So top comment says, "Oh my, is the world really this small? This could be a total coincidence, and I guess I have no real way to confirm either, but I had a very similar conversation with a customer today over a missing burrito and a side of cheese dip. Even if you're not the person I talked to, I'm off the clock now, so I have some words for you and people like you."
So this is this a person that maybe could have possibly been the driver?
This is the first time in Chick Chat history or Reddit history, but this could, not saying it is possible that this person is on the other end of the coin. I mean, I would love to believe that it is, so I'm here
Just
for
say
it.
it is close enough. Burrito, taquito, burger. I want to hear what they have to say.
Okay. They said, first of all, it's so annoying when people say, hold on a second, just want to make sure it's all here. And they put a bunch of these.
Oh.
Right then, I know I might be about to waste time having this exact conversation. Yes, it's scripted because it happens all the time, and it's easier to be prepared. Second off, I cannot return to the restaurant. If I don't mark your order as delivered in a given amount of time, I start getting calls from dispatch. If I mark your order as delivered, then I go back to the restaurant. I've lost your order info because the system thinks I don't need it anymore. And usually I have another order waiting to be sent to me after yours. So I have to move on to that one. Third off, stop and think about it. Do you want a person you don't know opening your food containers with their hands that have been touching steering wheels, dozens of door handles and doorbells, cash tips from questionable places that haven't been washed all day because they've been in a car? It's nasty and not sanitary. I try to verify with restaurants before. Most of the time, they're practically shoving me out the door. So sorry. Fourth off, I spend literally all day delivering food to people just to make money. With one of my companies, I have no choice but to deliver orders I'm given. So I can't be lazy. With the rest, I still can't be lazy because if I am lazy, that means less money. You know nothing about this industry. I couldn't say this before, but I can say it now. You're the asshole. That's freaking kiss.
Bravo.
That was
Encore.
chef's kiss.
Yeah.
That was beautifully written. Comment under it says, "I'm so sorry I had to deal with her." I think this is the person almost.
I swear. Like that person said, I'm sure it happens all the damn time. There are so many people that feel so damn entitled. Like, I don't know what it is about fast food restaurant or even delivery that
Any
sends
food
Tyler.
restaurant.
Yeah, but it sends Tyler over the edge. Like, my husband is a pretty even-keeled guy. It takes a lot for him to freak out. This man will be pacing over a goddamn chicken nugget if something goes wrong in a drive-through. And I'm like, how can you be such an even-keeled guy and then all of a sudden you're missing a chicken nugget or something gets messed up or whatever and you're just ready to fight the world. Last time with the DoorDash and the guy driving around Burger King, this was only maybe 15, 20 minutes into our order, which when you're ordering from a delivery service, you kind of expect 45 minutes to an hour before your food comes. Tyler was already ready to call the corporate office asking why this man's driving around somewhere else. I'm like, I'm texting him. It's okay.
Get mad when they're hungry, honestly.
Tyler gets so hangry. And if something goes wrong, he is ready to fight. I imagine this happens a lot. And even if it's not the person, it's close enough to the person that they're speaking on behalf of all drivers. And I think that this asshole is speaking on behalf of all assholes. And I'm so glad that we are here to see these people meet. Did he
Yeah.
reply?
No, OP did not reply. It doesn't look like. But someone said, "I'm glad insomnia kept me up till 2 a.m. to read this. A small ass world after all." I really wonder if it's the same person. I'm kind of thinking it is. I mean, sometimes you see posts from your area, I think, and I'll see like GB posts before I ever followed HEB on here after that HEB
Shout
or
out to the fish lady.
fish lady story. This was great. I kind of think it is that same person.
I think it definitely could be. And like I said, even if it's not, it's close enough.
Mm.
So those words are the words of the person who encountered this poster.
Someone said, look, it sucks if the restaurant forgot an item, but in no way, shape, or form do I want a delivery person opening my food items. Also, it is not their fault in the slightest that something was forgotten. They are literally there to pick up and drop off your food, nothing else. I could understand checking for 4 items total, but how do you know the place didn't pack things together? I've had that happen. The restaurant put 2 orders in 1 box instead of wasting 2. And most of the time, the restaurant staples or ties bags close. I'd be disgusted if it came open from the delivery person. OP is the biggest asshole for thinking it's the driver's fault at all or that they are there to cater to OP's whims. I've never been a delivery driver, but I can only assume how much of a pain in the ass it would be to waste time driving back to a restaurant for missing items 40 times a day. I mean, yeah, this person, like they were saying in their original clapback, is when you drop off the food and you say delivered and it's delivered and she sent the picture, whatever, at your door, it's done now. She can't go retrieve that order info. What do you want them taking screenshots of it? They can't do that either. It's
And
against company policy.
reason too. Like that's for a reason. That's because you're not supposed to go back because once the order is done, it's done, and the person needs to talk to customer service at this point. There's a reason they can't go back. And
Mhm.
again, it's not their fault that they're literally incapable. It's not like they can't, drive back to the store, but based on what and with
Yeah.
what?
And I get being angry about food. I mean, I've called the restaurants before when I've been missing food, but you call the restaurant. I don't do DoorDash really. I mean, I've delivered it, but I don't really ever get it. But I know that I've gotten it before with something missing, and I called the restaurant and was able to
Mhm.
get it replaced
That's
without
your
looking.
best bet, honestly, because I use DoorDash quite a bit. I have like Dash Pass, so we use it at least twice a month just to get use out of the Dash Pass. But, I mean, that's your best bet. You definitely can go through customer service, but it is kind of a roundabout way to do it. I've never had issues with communicating with anyone either, which is another red flag for me that this person's an asshole because right away they're like, "Oh, customer service must be people from out of the country. I can't understand." Get over yourself. No.
This person sounds like a Karen for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
One of those people I hate serving. And moral of the story is your DoorDash driver, your Uber Eats driver, your food delivery person is not your server. Unless they
Mhm.
work for that company. Let's say your Domino's driver comes here and they forget your soda or whatever. Yeah, maybe they do have to go back and get it because they
Mhm.
work for the company. Like, who else gonna do it?
Right. But they also have
Um,
access to your orders and all of that, and
yeah, they have your
it's
receipts. They have more time too because they're out doing a certain amount of deliveries and then they come
they're
back.
gonna
So,
go and do another delivery. They can pop it
right.
off on the next time around.
Yeah, I mean, it might cut into them getting a tip from a different maybe order or something maybe that goes to somebody else. But I mean, that is what it is. You got to double check your orders before you leave the store. But you work there, so you should know what foods are. It's kind of like when I worked at Cracker Barrel, we were doing Cracker Barrel to goes and stuff. Like we'd have to double
Mhm.
check the bags, and then we
Yeah.
had to tape them up, and then we would give them to DoorDash or whatever. Or if we
Mhm.
delivered catering, we would have to double check and then bring everything there. That's different because we worked at the restaurant, so we knew what was in there.
Yeah,
It was
you're responsible for the order, for putting it together, for delivering. That's a full service. But when you're working through a third party who has nothing to do with nothing but driving it
Mhm.
from one place to another and they completed that service,
Yep.
you cannot take their tip away based on you're mad at whatever the restaurant did.
Exactly. And we did both, and we would sometimes get callbacks from the DoorDash people, and that's fine. We would deal with that though, not the driver. Just
Drive
make it no other name, and then say missing an item or
Mhm.
whatever. Give it to a manager; they'll handle it, and that's what happens. It's not that serious, Jan. You don't have to be getting people in trouble, taking people's tips away. I mean, this poor soul, and I wonder it has to be the same person because she also said she revoked the tip. And sometimes people complain, but it's going a whole other step to revoke the
It
tip.
is. That's why
So
at first I wasn't even gonna call them an asshole because your complaint means nothing. But you took the money away. You're an asshole.
yeah, this person now went out of their way, got this order, it's part of their shift. I'm sure they picked up other orders too, but they had to go drop this food off to you, and then you cut into their time for their next order because it sounds like whatever app they're using, they don't get to just they're in their next order. So you're taking time from their next delivery and their next order so they can sit there. She almost rolled her eyes at you because she's had to do this before.
Also, expecting some kind of what? Individualized reply because you're such a unique individual? No, there are assholes like you everywhere. And that's why she has a scripted reply to you because you are
Yeah.
not unique. You do not need an individualized reply. You need to be told to sit down and be quiet.
Yeah, it's literally like getting like a package from a business and UPS drops it off, and you make the delivery man be like, "Wait, let me make sure all these items are
If
here."
it's not broken, that I got the right thing, and if it is, then you're responsible. It's your fault.
It's the same thing. It's you gotta think of it like you would do it with FedEx or with
Yeah.
UPS, or it's
Yeah.
basically around the same thing. They're just delivering food. You have to get a hold of the company. And try that shit with the Temu drivers. I bet them motherfuckers come through with a van in the middle of the night with a big package that's taped the hell up. You think they're gonna wait for you to take a freaking razor to that box just so you can go through it and then tell those people to go back to China to get your things? No.
I saw this reel today, and it was this lady who got a croissant lamp from Temu. And she's like, I think that this is a real croissant that they just put a lamp into, because she came home and there's like hundreds of ants underneath this croissant lamp. And she turned it around and there's a tiny hole in it because they were eating through the lamp. And she said that she poked her finger in there and she felt a bunch of bread. So she opened it up on camera and there's like bread in there. Just had like a glue over it. She just cracked it right open. So the video ended with her taking a bite to test it. No, the only proof that you need is the fact that these ants were eating it. It's food.
That's disgusting. It was shipped in a box. Came it to you probably with a van in the middle of the night like they normally
They
do, like
put
when it's
this
dark.
weird epoxy or glue or something clear over it to make it look like it was a shiny thing. First of all, the toxic materials, and second of all, the toxic materials that came from where? And so what else kind of stuff in the air was in that glue that you put in
On
your
top of
mouth?
the on top of that, it went through a whole journey across a couple oceans, and
Then you had it baking in this tiny lamp.
there were ants underneath it, and they were eating
Put a
through
moth
it
on that
too.
thing.
That's disgusting, honestly. But her immune
Yeah.
system's probably great. It must be to be able to handle something like that. Well, Chick Chat, I'm glad that we had a straightforward "Am I the asshole?" today. I think it's a good consensus that he, she, they, whatever they was the asshole.
I agree. I think you were right, Miss Ann. I did like this one. It got me nice and emotionally fired up. Very
Mhm.
clear-cut asshole situation. I didn't have to do any mental gymnastics.
And we got that nice little surprise at the end where the commenter was probably the victim
The
of this
person.
asshole.
I know, that's never happened before,
And
so
they
that's
wrapped it
really
up in
cool.
such a nice little bow. Couldn't say this then, but I'm gonna say it now. You are the asshole. It's like,
Mhm. And, they said everything so nicely. They probably could have said all that stuff beforehand except for calling them the asshole, but they deserved to use the language we
I mean,
all
yeah, they're
wanna
in the
use.
forum. Am I the asshole? So,
Yeah,
what are the
yeah,
odds? Loves it. I love that for her story, us, them. I think that $4 tip, screw it, it's $4, but the fact that
yeah.
you're able to clap back at this lady, that was priceless.
Priceless.
And it lives online and now on our YouTube channel forever. Clear, concise, they're the asshole. They were also voted the asshole on Reddit, but yeah.
Good. They deserve to be.
Well, thank you for joining us, Chick Chat. We will catch you on the next one. And remember, get us to 750 subscribers.
Our new goal is 750 subscribers. Also, we found out if you want to help us grow our channel and you don't have anyone that maybe watches these kinds of shows, or you don't maybe want to share it, although we hope that you want to share it with everybody, you can just click the share link and click copy link, and that will help us to grow our channel and grow in the algorithms of YouTube. So please do that if you can. It's free. You don't have to talk to anyone, and it costs nothing but your love for us.
In just a few seconds.
Just
But
a few seconds.
thank y'all so much for joining us. And remember, reduce, reuse, recycle, Rihanna. Like, follow, subscribe, share. I did that all backwards, but
Bye bye.
goodbye.